人気の YouTube 別の日別のデモ
Today we have a player who, you guys know how I feel about this player, okay? A player who, style-wise, is really just pushing the limits, okay, for what you can pull off, and a guy who, on camera, always looks like he comes fresh, all right? This is a guy who has the utmost respect for his IGL, and that is something that we have to really appreciate for his age, to be able to have that level of maturity and to show that it actually matters. Okay? He's transformed that, appreciation, respect into a very incredible year. So who am I talking about? I'm talking about that good Canadian boy, Twist, baby. That's right. He's number 14 for me, just slightly edging it out over Rops. I feel like Twist is somebody who just goes a little bit more underrated, in my opinion. He's somebody who I think is just a vicious rifler with impeccable spacing, some of the best mechanics we've ever seen that translates perfectly into these high-pressure games. He's a guy, and this is the biggest thing for me, in elimination games and the points in which FaZe were struggling in the second half of this year, and just in general, Twist has never been the reason why they've got, when they got eliminated from the major, when they struggled to have their tournament wins where they should have got them, Twist was the guy who was the last strand that even gave them some dignity rounds in the end, and I feel like everyone else wasn't there with him in some of these games. So really massive respect for Twist as a rifler this year, core part of FaZe, huge part of the team's identity, and on a team full of stars, it is very hard to stand out. So that's why we want to talk about FaZe. Let's hop into the game. Let's watch FaZe Clan run over G2 like a tractor in some manure. Okay, I don't even know if that's what happens on farms, but Twist was the good Canadian farm boy who helped a lot make this happen. This is the third map here at the World Final between these two. Very interesting game, and I thought, why not? Robs and Twist both had good maps to look at. Why don't we go ahead and analyze them? Twist is the player for me this year. What it's all about, my story for him, why I feel like, he's the guy who I think needs to have attention drawn to him. Another core part about FaZe, of course, the best of North America to come over to this international lineup and kind of be, he's honestly, for me, he's one of the most reliable players, bad or good, right? FaZe, bad or good. And the thing is, and there are some players, like I talked about Rops as an example, or anybody who's kind of a lurker will have inflated stats because they have self-preservation. In lost games, they will still have a low DPR and be able to survive a lot of rounds. They might get the ecos because they're by themselves or get a high amount or whatever. But Twist isn't that guy, okay? And Twist also is somebody, for some reason, in their elimination games or really, really bad series, or when they're struggling at the major, it wasn't Twist. It wasn't Twist. Twist was playing the CS that they needed him to play, and he is playing to trade at all times, okay? He's not playing to bait at all. So slightly more aggressive, unbelievable stats, I think, for his role, and I think somebody who I feel like it just has sheer amount of impact. Like, I put him in that category of, like, when I look at a Hunter, I look at a Stown, I look at a selfless player, slightly aggressive, and, very explosive, had some great clutches this year as well, but somebody you want on the team. Somebody who I think he's kind of like I was talking to Magisk the other day, and I was like, so I've looked at some of your kill matrices, Magisk, and you just sometimes you kill like the best player on the team like 8 times in a game, and end the game with like 18 kills. Like, you got so many important frags in one match, and just didn't like fully farm the game. And I think those are the players that we need to talk about the most, honestly. Because the other ones are just kind of obvious. The other ones are just kind of obvious. So, yeah, you guys know how I feel about Twist. Okay, Twist and Naf, you have a lot to be proud of in Canada. Let me tell you. I mean, the food. We have 4 seasons. We have Banff, beautiful nature. We have the territories. We have the Yukon. We have hockey, we have maple syrup, we have Twist, we have Nafly, we have Connor. The list just doesn't stop. Okay, we've got a lot to. And this year, for me, the only 2 North Americans on this top 20 list, I hate to say it, spoilers, they're both Canadian. No Americans on this list, okay? And when Yukinder gets his passport, he might be on here too. I don't want to spoil that. Hopefully we get him that Canadian passport. And Twist, 1v2. Yes, he reads that. That's correct. He knows. And Monacy is 30 HP. He's thinking, I have to make a play right now because Twist, if he doesn't know where I am just for a second and goes deeper to clear V, then I'm going to get that kill. No, Twist is fully well aware and grabs it. So the clutch comes in on the rotation. Twist showing that not only can he be an excellent refragger, an excellent friend, a good Canadian, but also is great last alive, when his teammates end up dying. And here on this half, it's going to be a lot about controlling middle. We talked about on Ancient many times already, the chain of map control that leads to your checkmate pattern on CT side, kind of understanding what's going on over outside of B. And by doing that, you need to have elbow control to keep you safe from your cave players so they can peek down B. And then when you have elbow control, you know that it's not mid, you know it's not outside B. Well, now you have your one player in Donut who can listen for the long A play. And unless it's a 5-A play, then you have everything else covered. And a 5A play is still fine to deal with Donut control and 5 players up and some rotations coming in. So we're going to see Twist enact the second part of that chain, which is controlling the elbow and making sure that if no one can come out here, then even if nobody is peeking out B, they feel like they might not be able to because Rain now has access to Cave and peeking out in front of Cave, right? So it's not about if they're going to use the info, it's about if the other team knows they have it. And if that's the case, then they are in a very, very strong position where they can control things. Now, if Rain isn't peeking out of Cave, for example, and they just assume he isn't, then they can use that against FaZe, of course. And that's the kind of mind games that will happen in Counter-Strike, because it is a game of fog of war, of incomplete information, and so gambles and things like that. Reading the utility instead of getting visual confirmation on presence is sometimes the thing you actually want to use. You don't want to alarm people sometimes, and you want to do something that you know they're doing in a setup without showing yourself. So again, I've been talking about that a lot actually recently as well. So yeah, but Twist also fighting at elbow is very fun. I would say it's not fun to get flashed with like 3 guys swinging out mid, but if you dodge said flash, then you have a really nice way to like get multi kills. Twist is super good. If you want to feel bad about yourself, by the way, all you have to do is watch Twist play deathmatch on a stream. Like right there is a really great example of why you should feel bad about yourself right now, because Twist is Canadian and you're not, and Twist just did that, and you're at home watching. I'm projecting. Okay, Twist is... There's this conversation about like Shroud and mechanics and stuff like that. For a long time, people felt like in the modern era, Twist is the guy who has the best mechanics in the world as a rifler. He's up there with Electronic. He's up there with like Axel right now. He's up there with Nico. He's up there, And the argument about mechanics is kind of a silly one. Like he's got like peak mechanics, I guess is a good way to look at it. Once you hit that point, Counter-Strike is so much more than that. And Twist is such a good player. You never want to like boil him down to just mechanical ability. In fact, if you say a player has really good mechanics, that is almost derogatory, okay? Because what you're trying to say is that he's dumb. That's what you're trying to say. You're trying to say God gave him the gift to aim lab, but actually he's just not smart enough to play the game for real. And the reality of Counter-Strike is like a lot of these FPS games, aim is one of the least important factors. And I don't say it's not important. I just mean in terms of priority compared to a lot of other shooters. And that's because the game is that hard. There's so much other stuff going on, right? And you look at players like Shroud, for example, who have unbelievable mechanics, didn't have that much else. I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but, if he did, then, of course, it would be more relevant, because I would say some of the best mechanics you'll ever see on an FPS player. People don't know that. Weren't around when you start playing Counter-Strike. They don't know about how he is in other games. They don't know about that talent. It's there. Now, Twist can keep up on that front and also show that he's got excellent spacing, excellent rotation. I don't know about his communication. I know that he talks. I know that when Twist is one of the most fun people to interview, because I remember once I think it was at Dallas I interviewed him, and Joka Steve said, please don't ask him too many questions because he's going to answer all of them. Twist is an incredibly honest person, and that's an admirable quality. Of course, Canadian. Makes a lot of sense. And I think that that would lead you to have a great teammate, honestly. When Kerrigan was taking like some of the biggest losses and hardest losses of his career, and people were really doubting him, and Twist was on the team. He was out there publicly tweeting, my captain, I followed you to death's doorstep and back. I would literally stab myself for you. I'll give up all my friends. I will only play CS. I will only listen to your calls. He said almost all of that, almost exactly verbatim. And what happened? Well, the FaZe Clan #1 team this year, Twist, a massive component of that. And his trust in Kerrigan probably gave Kerrigan a lot of confidence. And you got a teammate like that right behind you, trusts you. This has been a big problem for Kerrigan in his career, man. This might be kind of personal. It was like a story. I'm not going to... I mean, it was just... There was a moment where this kind of known that Kerrigan had, lost... Just happens with IGLs if teams don't trust them. This is a very common trope, okay? Teams don't trust, lose faith in their IGLs because they take too many losses. Then they stop listening to them in the live matches. Then what happens is that the IGL gets cut, goes on to a new team or whatever, and you never really hear about it. Well, that happened before with Kerrigan, and that happened to him a couple of times. And sometimes that can be your confidence in the game. That can be your your life outside the game that's affecting everything. Like, IGLing is a high-stress job, and you're telling players who are typically better than you what to do and doing it with conviction. And that, in and of itself, will make your hair fall out. Okay, so the fact that Kerrigan's operating a team at this level with the players at this level individually, and they are listening to him, and they have had he's had his best career on record with his major that he's really just wanted for so long. Do you see what I'm saying? It's very gracious, I think, of someone like Twist to just go out of their way to not doubt somebody at their lowest moment who is their leader, and not think about the fact that in the past there have been some tragic losses that have defined Kerrigan's career, and that could have very well been the way his career ended. And instead, what you have is a total bounce back. The whole team eating because of it, right? Gaining, getting good stats, getting trophies, getting all this stuff. And he's propped up what has become the best IGL of this year. Okay, I'm going to say it, no question. So yeah, 9-0 in this game, and it's just been storylines and narratives this one. I really had fun talking about all the stuff outside of Counter-Strike that I think makes it interesting to watch, and Twist being Canadian and all that stuff. Can't stop talking about that. Here's a shot. Yeah. Not a bad one. Okay, this does highlight, though, why sometimes you don't want to have your rifler pick up and up, because I think Twist just wins this round if he has a rifle, but look at the shot he tries to take here. He kind of goes for that. They're still another player up. A hard one. This one gets missed a bit. Actually gets that first one, but look, he switches to USB and literally gets more damage than he did with the op. Also speaks to Rops a little bit. He opping a lot, and he's a very good secondary op. Couldn't really ever see him being primary, but with Brokey on the team, why would you ever have a different primary? Very good hybrid, though. So this angle right here is awesome. It's really great for it's the smallest corner. It looks flimsy, but it's actually really strong for fighting in towards elbow, especially with a proper utility or people with you. And he has this headshot angle to see them clearing out cave as well, which you can take a head off, and he has this rifle to hold on to elbow as they try to approach. Here I thought a mistake came out where he was going to smoke it, and then he didn't, because I think he got scared about cave. Then it came out late. Look at this pre-fire. Wow, he didn't even see him, but instant to the head. Perfect crosshair placement. That is also what makes Twist who he is in this game, why he's a force, what he can do consistently in that regard. He had absolutely perfect crosshair placement, armed with a pre-fire, and the exact right read on how to approach that. Didn't go for the react play, and the angle is not deep enough for you to swing out and then shoot. Just if someone's holding you there, you are kind of fucked. It is really nice, though, when you know you can swing on them, or you're peeking off of a nade from that corner while you can dodge the flash and just be perfectly lined up forward towards elbow and fight. I'd like to shout out Mahone as well. He did an excellent video on Twist and talked about some very small details about his entry fragging that I thought were really cool. It was a particular on Mirage where he used elevation changes to get underneath the scope from Cat, clearing out bricks on Mirage, or clearing out on a ramp coming out Tetris, by using the elevation as well. And that was just a couple of things that I've been noticing more and more. Talked about in a previous demo, actually, so far in the top 20. That was a while back. I think he did that video, but recommend going and watching that one. Really highlights the nuance that makes Twist who he is, because I think when you watch him play, you just think, wow, this guy's just really nice with it. He's a clean rifler with good crosshair placement and good reactions, and knows when to move slow, knows when to move fast. But there are a lot of small details that kind of make it so that he just makes far less mistakes than everyone else, and on top of having great aim, has that consistency, which is the great aim doesn't give you the consistency. It's the great aim and not making egregious positional errors, which is harder than it sounds, because that's what everyone's trying to make you do the whole time. There it is, and that's a reaction right there. So that's an example of why he's got it all a little bit, right? The instant first bullet to the head on the adjustment, JKS, and he's not aiming in the right spot. And it mechanic trick. You're not aiming to the right spot, not because you're dumb or anything, just the way it is sometimes. Look at him take him down. That's the moment I'm talking about right there with the funness of clearing out elbow. And then this angle open up again. And of course, it's earned because they have pushed down B while they took mid control. So they stop this attack. And G2 so fully frustrated at this point in the game where they are literally trying to do things so quickly because of how annoying it's been to just go slowly into the setups where Twist has held on to mid control for the whole time. These nades again and again. Nothing disrespecting the elbow control here. So 3B start is the right idea. And they really have no problem with this. Twist just going to fly through the smoke. Beautifully done into the last round. Let's see. Twist just makes his way over. Let's see if it's going to be Donut. Yes, it is. Okay, cool. Let's see how this angle works out. They have long control. So Twist, you know, if you peeks too deep, of course, you can always worry about something holding you from all the way back. You take an angle like this, then if you're in a decent spot, Twist swings out, finds his. They don't expect him to be on the side of default, and they win. Brokey 18-2, Twist 16-8. But Twist no op, baby. That's why we talk about Twist. That's what makes Twist who he is. An excellent player that has excellent mechanics, but also well-rounded. And that's why, for me, he's the number 14 player on my list. Twist, everybody. Canadians.